Ain't no stopping this podcast from dropping. We here to get that work. Welcome, guys, to In Your House, and of course, I am your director, Hollywood Howse. You already know what I do, and that's give you that work when it comes to this professional wrestling business, and that is exactly what I intend to do, and I intend to give it to you when you're in your car. Maybe you're driving the kids to school, maybe you're driving to work, maybe you just at home, maybe you cleaning up the house, maybe the weather is terrible and you just need to pop us in your ears and let us give you that work when it comes to that professional wrestling. And hey, once again, that is what we do, and we've been giving it to you. Guys, it is Tuesday, and you know what that means. That means it's Hollywood Solo Shot. That is right. Just me in the building today to talk to you guys, the household. And of course, later on in the week, we will have our Wednesday night Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and then the podcast edition drops on Thursday. Then my man, Hypocrisy Jones, gives you a Friday night hype. Facebook Live on Friday, and it's a movie, Jack. Man, I gotta talk to y'all real quick, alright? Because I'm happy to be talking to y'all. You already know them vibes. Like, we get together, we talk some wrestling, and we have fun with it. You know what I'm saying? Man, I gotta tell you, yesterday was not the greatest day for me. I was just blah, you know what I'm saying? You ever have those blah days? It was definitely one of those for me. I was just anxiety on high for no apparent reason, and just kind of, not really a great day, you know? It's probably, some of it had to do with the weather. I can tell you that much. I mean, it was over here in my side of the globe here in America, here in Indiana. It was sleeting. It was nasty. It was just not good weather. So I'm sure it contributed to it. But today I'm feeling a lot better. I'm feeling a lot better because I get to talk to y'all. I get a chance to chat it up about some professional wrestling with the household, and we do it so well together, don't we, ladies and gentlemen? Many different countries. You already know them vibes. And it's been a great ride here. You know, just seeing how everything is growing again, and we're getting in a good groove again. It's great. And it's really great because there's a whole lot of professional wrestling to talk about. And man, so much in the news. I got a chance to look at all the highlights and stuff for Monday Night Raw. Man, once again, I was out of it. Just down. But this morning I'm up, and I got a chance to check it all out, and I'm definitely going to talk Monday Night Raw, but first I want to talk about some of the stuff that's going on in the news today. And one of the biggest things from the last few days that has been talked about a lot, and that's the fact that CM Punk, that's right, CM Punk apparently is ready to play ball with AEW. He's ready to come back. He's ready to plan his return, and AEW is willing to work with him. Of course, you guys know what happened with him snapping off at a post-media scrum in 2022, all-out post-media scrum, and how we went, boy went off. I mean, he went crazy. I mean, my jaw was on the floor, all right, straight up. My jaw was on the floor a year ago when I was like, bro is really going in, like, he's really snapping, and I'm like, but why though? It was just so confusing, and now, almost a year later, not really a year, but we're approaching that time. I believe it was in September, but, I guess business is business, it is that's the best I got for you. Like, if it's good for AEW, great. If it's good for CM Punk, great. And CM Punk does have a lot of supporters. I mean, yes, CM Punk, he's polarizing for sure. He's definitely polarizing, but that's one of the things that makes him compelling, is that he will just snap off after a championship win at their biggest show of the year, All Out, and just misdirect, like just go in a completely different direction that nobody expected him to go in. So now this is a guy who's no stranger to controversy, who's no stranger to being in the middle of controversy, and now we're going to see him have possibly another opportunity coming up. I I know they want to have him at their Chicago show, is from what I understand. And once again, this is all dirt sheets. I'm not in these locker rooms or anything like that, but this is what we're talking about here, and this is the hot news, so we got that going on as far as CM Punk and what he can do. Is this AEW trying to work towards getting, that 90K? That's what they want, right? They want to try to fill up Wembley when they go there for All In. So that's going to be interesting to see what's happening there in terms of CM Punk, in terms of AEW, and it's very interesting what's going to be his role. Another interesting thing to notate is that we have guys like Drew McIntyre. We talked a little bit about this. We have guys like Drew McIntyre who he appears to be finishing up with WWE. Maybe he wants to be a part of that Wembley show. This is Wembley. This is big. It's a big situation. So this is going to be potentially one of the biggest shows of the year. And I say that as a wrestling fan. I'm not saying like, oh, AEW this, WWE that. I'm talking this is going to be one of the biggest shows of the year for wrestling. Not just for AEW, but for wrestling. Because we're going to see what AEW can do to see if they can pack Wembley Stadium. We just saw what WWE did as far as the numbers that they put up for the SoFi Stadium over there in LA, in Inglewood. So that's interesting. Are they going to try to, get as close as they can to that, which is going to be, that's not going to be easy because it's over of course, WrestleMania is over the course of 2 days, but I'm talking about just one day, either night 1 or night 2 compared to what AEW can potentially do at Wembley Stadium. And if they want to do something big, it would absolutely make sense for them to want to bring in guys like Drew McIntyre, for them to want to bring in somebody like CM Punk, for them to want to bring in, like, wait for it, Goldberg. Yep, I said it. And I'm not a Goldberg fan, but I could definitely see eyes shifting there to see what kind of stuff Goldberg would do at AEW. Who would they put him against? I get it. Like, I know that the hardcore wrestling fans are like, ugh. Like, I know you turned up your nose. He's like, Goldberg? Oh, not Goldberg, bro. I thought you was better than that. No, man, I'm making sense. Because Goldberg do bring in numbers. He do draw some money. Whether you think so or not, he do. And that's why he's always going to be a big-time free agent. Can they bring in Goldberg, them being AEW? Can they bring in CM Punk again and go ahead and close this deal? Apparently, it's been closed. Everybody's ready to make amends, apparently, and he's even prepared to go up against the guys that he was, beefing with, working with them being Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and are we ready to put differences aside and really do what's best for the promotion and help it thrive? I think that's the main goal there for AEW, is that we gotta run our ship a little bit tighter. We got to understand who we are and stay in our lane, stay in our niche, and we can do things like sell out Wembley Stadium. We can do things like have another show. And that's exactly what we're looking at. We're looking at AEW having another show, a Saturday show called Collision. That apparently CM Punk rumored would be one of the top guys of that show. And it would be like 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. And I think they're doing it on TNT, and that's going to be interesting to have a Saturday show, this Collision show, because honestly, I look at it like this. 8 to 10 is a good time on a Saturday night if you're a wrestling fan. I know a lot of people, they like to go out, and like a lot of people in the business, they're not going to watch it because they're going to be out on Saturday nights. And most people who are deeply enrooted in the business don't really pay close attention to what these shows are doing, because they're doing their own thing, which respectable. That's what you're supposed to do. You got to worry about what's best for your career. But I'm talking to the fans. You definitely got to worry about what's best for your career, but I'm talking to the fans. And in this light, it's like this. I like to know that if I'm not doing a show, if I'm chilling at home, there's always going to be wrestling available to me on a Saturday night. Saturday Night Wrestling is a good vibe. I like Saturday wrestling altogether. I mean, it's a great day to do it. Most people have Sundays off, so they could go out and do their thing and be out a little bit later and whatnot. So, like, yeah, it's a great vibe in terms of, hey, I could just put this on and see what's going on, and then you have somebody as controversial as CM Punk that's going to be centered around the show, and then whoever else that they add to this show. And I don't know what AEW's approach is going to be, because I think that the belief is that they could really benefit from another show where there is going to be a split, a brand split between Dynamite and Collision, and then there's going to be superstars and titles that are just confined to said show, either Dynamite or Collision. I think that they can benefit from that. Now, I know a lot of you guys are going to say, oh, well, they're just doing what WWE does. Okay, it works. Like, I understand that they want to do their own thing, and we want, like fans who are not huge fans of WWE, they want to see things differently and see things done differently than what you would see in WWE. They want to see innovation, something different from AEW. But sometimes if it works, it works. And this idea here is best for the talent. It gets more people seen, more people an opportunity to be in relevant storylines, and I don't even know, would they want to do a draft? Is this something that they would be interested in? Because it would be close to have an AEW draft while WWE is still doing their WWE draft. People are going to say, hey, this is mimicking what WWE is doing. But the question is a draft compelling TV? Yeah, it is. I know to me it is. To see where different people are going to go, to see what kind of different opportunities, stories, new light, seeing superstars in a new light, whether it be a change between heel to face or even vice versa. It's going to be interesting to see. It's always going to be interesting to see when it comes to drafts. You see a lot of people tune into the NFL draft, the NBA draft. They want to see where these college kids are going to begin a new chapter. And that is what I believe is the representation of the draft, especially in professional wrestling, in WWE, and possibly what we may see in AEW. It's the representation of a new chapter for many different stars. So I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's a great idea if AEW were to do that. AEW has been accused many times of, we have these great debuts and we have these big names come in, and then after that, they're going to AEW Dark. We don't really have anything for you, but it was great that you had that big debut. And this can help with that. It really can. I definitely understand. What I truly appreciate about AEW is the way they're doing for the independents. It's great. I mean, to see what they do for promotion, for buying Ring of Honor and doing and keeping it as Ring of Honor-y as they possibly can, which is great. But also what they do for independent talent, to give them that exposure on AEW Dark, to give them exposure on their YouTube show. It's great for a superstar. It's great for a wrestler. So yeah, I love what they're doing, but they definitely got to really tighten some things up in terms of, making everything relevant and making everything matter, which is something that I think that WWE is doing right now, and I'm definitely going to talk about that as far as my feelings on Monday Night Raw. But no, I really feel like that if CM Punk can help AEW and CM Punk can just kind of just chill, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know he speaks his mind, he's brash and whatnot, and he's gonna say what he got to say at the time that he got to say it, but like, man, we got to leave that stuff behind closed doors, not on camera, not live like that in that type of situation. I mean, Tony Khan was chugging that water last year, like, oh my God, why is he doing this to me? That's what I would be thinking, like, bro, I didn't gave you this much money, put you in this spot, and like, oh, you're killing me. You're burying me right in front of me on TV, bro. Like, dang. But, it is what it is. We all learn. We all grow and we all forgive, well, a lot of us forgive, some of us don't, and sometimes the basis of forgiving is doing what's best for business, so and I'm just giving you the real, like sometimes the main reason why fences get mended and people pick up the phone and start talking to each other again is because of the money that it can make. Okay? Return tours, welcome backs and whatnot. Bands getting back together for those return tours, sometimes the money is the motivation. And I think in this case, the money got to be the motivation. You got to think of what you can do. I mean, right now, for me, if I'm AEW and you see the potential of Drew McIntyre to be there, because like Drew McIntyre, he's a guy who has main evented a WrestleMania. He's beaten Brock Lesnar. He really carried the company through the pandemic as that champion. Like, and then he was involved in what is arguably being called the match of the entire weekend from WrestleMania 39. So his stock is high right now. If I'm AEW, I'm throwing money at this guy. Seriously, it's a great free agent to have out there. Then you got Goldberg out there. What will he work for? You know what I'm saying? What dates can you have him on? Let's work it out. CM Punk, bring him back. Get him popping on this Saturday show. Try to keep this guy happy. Do what you can to keep this guy happy. Always check in on him. Always touch base with him. I think that's the best thing you got to do as far as CM Punk. Because I hope he'd be a guy that if something was wrong, he wouldn't say, oh, nothing's wrong, but actually something's wrong. And like it's just like, man, if something's bothering you, like, let's speak. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk. Just be on top of that. And I really think that, and the pillars are great. I mean, MJF is still a great champion. Darby Allin just cut a fantastic promo last week, and that was a different Darby Allin than I'm used to seeing. Him talking about how he used AEW's money to help his father retire, to do all the things that he's done and do better for other people, and loved his, usage of therapy in the promo, because we got to make sure that stuff is like normalized. Like, it's cool to go to therapy, and I really thought highly of Darby Allin from that promo, and really saw him in a different light. Not just a guy who's throwing himself around at high octane pace. Now we're seeing a different Darby Allin, and that's cool to me. The growth of Darby Allin, that's cool. I mean, you still got Jungle Boy Jack Perry, you still got Sammy Guevara, Chris Jericho is still there. There's a lot of great things happening in AEW, and we just got to put it all and make it fit into place, and how can we make the television as compelling as we possibly can. And I think that one thing that WWE is doing right is they're carrying storylines and carrying feuds. Yes, there's going to be people that are going to say, okay, this has gotten to a point where it's stale. But like, if you're really watching and paying attention, they're really giving you different levels, different vibes of the feuds that you're seeing in WWE, like I'm going to talk about with the Bloodline and the Judgment Day. Interesting stuff. But yeah, that's the stuff that's going on in professional wrestling. CM Punk, big news. Definitely wanted to talk about that. Definitely wanted to talk about that new show that's coming up, Collision, Saturday. Saturdays from 8 to 10 is the rumor. Coming possibly in June. It's a cool, to me it's cool. They're doing stuff the right way because we want to see AEW succeed. Like, I don't want to see them fail. I'm not rushing to watch them on my TV. And that stinks because I want to feel that way, but I don't. And because I don't, it's one of the reasons why I'm trying to give my opinion and thoughts on that, and just say, hey, these are great things that you have coming down through the pipeline that you could possibly do. And I think that they're doing it. I think that they know, I think AEW is a company that's very aware of themselves and is always gauging public opinion on them because it is a public relation company. So maybe they're seeing people say, oh, well, we're not doing anything with guys after they debut. Oh, people are going to AEW Dark and not doing anything. Oh, the stories aren't compelling. Oh, Moxley's bleeding all the time. and they say then like, okay, we got to change directions, because sometimes you just got to do that. You just got to change directions and present things in a different light, so that way they don't become stale or your fan base doesn't think that you're ignoring them. And I've never thought that AEW is a company that ignores their fan base. There's somebody who's tapped into their fan base so much, it's almost to a fault. But that's what they choose to do, and that's how they choose to run their company. And as long as they're doing it and doing what's best for the fans and doing what's best for themselves and making, money all around, it's a win. It's always going to be a win. So, like, that's the vibe right there. That I just felt like I wanted to talk a little bit about that. And I did at length. I hope you guys enjoyed that, because I enjoyed giving it to you. But guys, I'm going to take a break. And when I come back, I'm going to talk last night's Monday Night Raw. Hey guys, it's your boy, the director, Howse of In Your House, and I'm here to let you know about a small business that produces beard products and also supports small stage, independent, professional wrestling stars. It's called Ring Master Beard Company. Try one of their several scents, beard oils, balms, or mustache wax, and keep your beard looking and feeling sweet. Purchase your favorite wrestlers or personalities' personalized scent, and they receive a portion of each sale. And with that being said, don't forget to pick up a bottle of the Director in Alakan House Special. Your boy, a blend of eucalyptus, mint, and tea tree oil. Have your beard feeling fresh, have your beard feeling smooth, just like your boy, the Director. Follow Ringmaster Beard Company on Twitter and Instagram at Ringmaster Beard, or on their Facebook page, and that is Ringmaster Beard Company. Check it out. Get your beard cream. Hit your beard with that. Because sometimes being a master in the ring means mastering your beard. Welcome back to In Your House, where you can't stop the rain like Shaq in 96. If you know, you know, Jack. And you already know the vibes as we coming on back inside to talk a little professional wrestling. But before I do that, I gotta do my due diligence. And that's thank you guys. Thank you so much for making us a 5-star podcast on Apple Podcasts. It is truly appreciated. And with that patronage that you guys are giving us, we're trying to give you more of that work. We're trying to get you on Facebook Live. We're trying to get you on YouTube, as well as Apple and Spotify and iHeartRadio. You got Friday Night Hype on Facebook Live on Fridays. My man Hypocrisy Jones doing his thing, and we really love to see it. So catch that on the In Your House page every Friday night. Hypocrisy Jones, Friday Night Hype. Guys, if you want to listen to another podcast with some great opinions, some great thoughts, and a good vibe, head on over to my man, the Pope, Elijah Burke, as himself and the Manager of Champions and the Champion of Managers, Pollo Del Mar, come together and they give you that work on Pope's Point of View. That is on Saturdays at 9:05 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that's every Saturday on all those major podcasting platforms. So, we have Monday Night Raw. It was a movie, in my opinion. I got a chance to go back and check everything out, and I was compelled from what I was seeing. We had the Judgment Day cutting the deal with the Bloodline. We're seeing these two heel factions interact, and usually I'm somebody that's like, heel on heel stuff, I don't know about it, but I was wrong on this one. This is different. No, this was a different vibe, because it's basically a deal that they were cutting to basically deal with each other's problems. Have Solo deal with Rey Mysterio, which we saw in a match there. Have the Judgment Day in the main event against Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, the Undisputed Tag Team Champions, and the returning Matt Riddle. And it made for a really good dynamic. This is a story that we saw be told throughout the night. Now, that is what I love. A story that's being told throughout the night. We had them going back and forth. Basically, this is something that Roman Reigns constructed, and we're still seeing those little itty bitty cracks because the Usos didn't know about it, but Solo did. So we're seeing these little stories being told. It's really well done and well constructed with the bloodline, and now you got that extra wrinkle when you bring in the Judgment Day and them creating deals. What's going on with Solo and Rhea Ripley? It's just some sort of weird energy there. Like there's definitely something there with Solo and Rhea. Maybe something we'll see at a later time. Who knows? But what we're seeing now is them wanting to solve each other's problems, and Heyman was somebody who was heavily involved throughout the night in terms of the storytelling. He had the backstage segment with the Judgment Day, making sure that they pull their weight, and Finn telling them what Solo did to Rey was and I think that the wise man took exception to that. So what are we going to see here? Is there seeds possibly being planted later on for Judgment Day and the Bloodline, which would be cool? So what are we seeing here? What's the potential for all these stories are good. I like it. I like what we're seeing. So I really liked that. We had Solo going up against Rey Mysterio later on in the night. The Street Champ, former In Your House guest Solo Sikoa, was. They really like what they're doing with him, man. They really like him, and I like what they're doing with them. As correcting myself, I like what they're doing with him, and they really like him. And why wouldn't they? He's getting pushed really well. I like how he's just like that enforcer, the subtle guy. We don't really know what he's thinking. He's spoken like 6 words. As far as speaking to the tribal chief, is there some smoke there with the tribal chief and Solo Sikoa? Could he be somebody who could face off against Roman Reigns in a future time? They're building Solo Sikoa very interestingly, and I've really become quite the fan of what they're doing with him. Not just the fact that, of course, he is a former In Your House guest, and I've had the opportunity to hang out with him and know him on a more personal level. I just like what they're doing with him, period. Like, it's very cool, and I love to see the success that he's getting right now. And it's interesting. It's very interesting. But this was a great wrinkle in what's going on with the bloodline, and I talked about it a little bit earlier in terms of some stories getting stale and because you're running them too long. I don't feel like that in this instance. I feel like because they're keeping the story fresh, that it's getting extra legs. It's keeping it fresh. Yeah, it involves the same people, but there's different things happening with these people who have been affiliated with each other for a very long time. It's good. I like it. It's keeping things interesting, and really, it's a good way to keep feuds and rivalries and whatnot interesting long past their shelf life. And that's kind of what we're seeing right now, in my personal opinion. Rey Mysterio is still feuding with his son Dominic. You know, you have that extra wrinkle now with the LWO, with Joaquin Wilde, Cruz de Toro, and Santos Escobar. You know, there's that extra wrinkle now. And of course, Selena Vega. The LWO, they were going by a different name, and now they're the LWO, as now it seems like Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar have this mutual respect for each other, where they're willing to be faction members, somebody to back up Rey Mysterio when the Judgment Day's numbers starts to ante up, which has happened to him on many different occasions before he enlisted the help of the LWO. I like that. I like what we're seeing. Bianca Belair went up against Dakota Kai. She has a future opponent in Io Sky at some point down the line. How does this make Bayley feel? What's her mindset on this? There's a lot of different things going on that, yes, people are still affiliated with each other, but now there's different wrinkles. It's a different chapter in the rivalry. And speaking of rivalries, one that's brewing that's starting to grow legs, and we're seeing it build in a very short amount of time, is Bobby Lashley and Bronson Reed. Now, we saw them have that great match last week that ended in a count out. Then they had to have a pull apart, just fighting each other. I mean, they kept fighting after the 10 count, which I loved that. I talked about that on one of last week's episodes, and I enjoyed it. Now we're seeing Mr. Nice Guy, Bronson Reed. He's coming in. He's interfering with the match between Bobby Lashley and the United States champion Austin Theory. And now we're seeing a different vibe here in this match. See, you have Bronson Reed, who's now costing Bobby Lashley matches because he feels like there's a blemish on his record because of the countout. He was undefeated on Monday Night Raw up until that countout, so now it feels like he got to get his get back against Bobby Lashley. Are we going to see that at Backlash? I hope that we do. It's definitely a feud that is growing quickly, and I love to see, and Bronson Reed is getting good rub out of it. So is Bobby Lashley. These two guys are going to go up against each other, and it's great because I feel like Bobby Lashley needs something like this after kind of getting shafted at WrestleMania and not really having anything to do. I mean, like, they did what they could with them as far as the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, then letting them come out on night 2 and parade it around, but he didn't have a match, and I'm sure he wanted to wrestle. So now it's like, what can we do to keep him happy and keep him looking good after the fact? And I think this feud with Bronson Reed is just that, and I'm digging where it's going. Another thing that I'm digging is what they're thinking of doing with Trish Stratus. I went ahead and I watched her promo. I still feel like there's still that I like you vibe there. Like, the mic work wasn't like great. Like, it didn't feel like she was being vicious. Like, and I wanted to have that feeling, but like, we still love Trish, right? Like, we still love Trish for Trish. But like, I just feel like as the intensity grows, we had Becky Lynch pull the old "I'm not showing up to Raw," then black out her social media, which is a thing that athletes do when they're signaling that they're finishing up a time with an organization. So she did that, and she wasn't on Monday Night Raw, and Trish Stratus basically said that she's not a sidekick. She's somebody who revolutionized the business, main eventing a Monday Night Raw with Lita all those years ago and changing the way people look at women's wrestling. And she feels like that she's owed her respect. And once again, I just feel like I want to get to a point of hating her more because it's still Trish Stratus, but I appreciate the effort. I appreciate the fact that she's willing to do this at this stage of her career to build a feud with Becky Lynch and see where it goes from there and see where Lita comes into play somewhere down the line when and if she returns. So a lot of different things going on Monday Night Raw. We also continued the build of Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is super over. Now it looks like we're presenting him as more of a babyface light because people love his song and he is over as one of the best on the roster. And he went up against The Miz, somebody who has main evented WrestleMania, been a multi-time WWE champion. He hosted WrestleMania at WrestleMania 39 at SoFi Stadium. So like, what can we do to keep him in a good light? I feel like that Miz is due something coming up soon again. It's probably about time for another decent Miz run, maybe with like the U.S. title or Intercontinental title, and that's coming up. We could see something like that after the draft, but I feel like Miz has been doing really solid work and everything that he's done in terms of being just a talk show guy, being just a mouthpiece, being the host, and the guy can still wrestle, right? Like, he still is a hard worker, right? So, like, it's about time, possibly after the draft, to give him another go at it. Then, of course, we're still building up after Seth Rollins has had a string of losses, but in that time of those losses that he's managed to get really over, which is fantastic. So it's probably time to go ahead and start thinking about rewarding him and seeing what we can do with him. Guys that are just doing the work, and we love to see it. And that's what makes episodes like this past Monday Night Raw really good. Guys like Sami Zayn, guys like Kevin Owens, who have always done consistent good work, are now being featured in main event programs, and we're seeing them in the main event. They're having a big brawl to end Monday Night Raw, which I thought was a really good ending. I mean, once again, there wasn't a lot of bad parts of this Monday Night Raw from what I got a chance to see. Once again, my only critique would be for Trish and just kind of like, I really want to see her drive it home, but she still feels like she's smiley and happy and stuff like that. And I get it. It's a different vibe, and we'll get there. Trish Stratus ain't no stranger to this. She's not no stranger to this. So like she's gonna get there. That's just my opinion. Bianca Belair, once again, like I said, she's still dealing with damage control, and she picked up a win against Dakota Kai, and Dakota Kai. It was a good match. So I enjoyed that, and what we're developing there. We're about 19 days out from Bianca Belair becoming the longest reigning Raw Women's Champion in the company's history, that she'd be beating out Becky Lynch. And it's like my son said a few weeks ago on the show, we're in the middle of many historic title reigns, one just ending with the Usos, and then of course Roman and what he's doing, trying to get to 1,000 days, then Bianca Belair and what she's trying to do, become the longest reigning Raw Women's Champion. A lot of cool stuff going on. Gunther is another one who is having a fantastic Intercontinental Championship run. And yeah, it's just the legacy is there. Like the stories are being told, and because some of these stories have aged a little bit, like they're aging like fine wine. They're not like, oh, it's stale, it's done. Like, no, they're aging in a different way. And I think that is what WWE is doing so right. They're just staying their line, telling their stories, and doing it really well. And some of that stuff, once again, with a brand split, with a draft, is something that I think AEW can learn from. And people are going to always say, oh, you're doing what WWE does. But that noise will stop. And if the product is good, then it'll speak for itself, and we'll stop talking about that, and we'll start talking about what good wrestling we're seeing. So, yeah, I enjoyed Monday Night Raw. I thought it was a good watch. I just talked about really the highlights that happened on the show, and it made for a great episode from what I saw. Of course, we had Cody Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes really calling out Brock Lesnar, and Adam Pearce was there as well, and it really made me see the more intense side of Cody, the more I'm going to do whatever it takes. Find me, give me that fine. I want to get to him. He's pissed me off to a point where I'm not thinking rationally. I just want to beat his ass. And that's a good story to tell. You had the Brocktaker come out dressing up like The Undertaker. My man, Sam said, I was talking to him a little bit earlier, and he was like, man, he beat Taker WrestleMania. He's allowed to dress like him. And I was like, you know what? You right. He out here cosplaying like Taker. It is what it is, and Brock Lesnar is just doing his thing. They're going to have that match at Backlash in Puerto Rico, and something strong in me tells me that Cody is going to pick up that win, and I wouldn't be mad at it. Brock is doing his thing. Brock's helping build guys, and I think that's what we're seeing. I know we see him beating all the black champions. Now he's messing with our next black champion in Cody Jabari Rhodes, but I still say he's giving back and putting guys over. Guys like Bobby Lashley have pinned him. That has happened. Drew McIntyre has pinned him. So Roman Reigns pinned him many times. He's doing it where it counts and where it matters. And I think that that's important to notate as far as Brock Lesnar and the way that they push him and the way that he decides who he's going to do business with. And I'm down with it. I like it. Once again, I thought Monday Night Raw was a vibe. Backlash was good, or Backlash will be good, I'm sorry. Backlash has the potential to be very, very good with the stories that they're telling. And, usually that's our, let's just throw it out the window pay-per-view, let's just do whatever. But no, they're really building something here, it seems like, with with Backlash, and the things that are going to be doing with Bad Bunny is going to be interesting. He's hosting the show, and how him and Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio, how's that all going to tie in together? Because we know it is. Something's going to happen between all those characters and in that element. So it's going to be interesting to see. And yeah, I just think that looking ahead towards what we can see, the potential that AEW has, WWE, in my opinion, cooking with gas. What's going to happen next in terms of Monday Night Raw? There's even still SmackDown. There's NXT. The things are going well there from what I can see. Like, there's a lot of good wrestling out there, y'all, and a lot of potential to see good wrestling locally in your area. A lot of great shows if you pay attention to what's going on around you. There's always wrestling going on. Wrestling ain't going nowhere. And, it's something very cool. It's something very liberating for a wrestling fan or somebody that's in the business to be able to be a part of this in some kind of way, whether you're a fan in the stands, whether you're a wrestler, whether you're a manager, whether you're a commentator, whether you're a booker, whether you're a promoter. It all gives us something to hang on to and say, hey, I love this, and it gives me that opportunity to escape from the real world problems. And those real world problems don't just go away. They're always going to be there. So it's always good to have a balance, and balancing the real world and you going off into this other world of professional wrestling and art and sports entertainment. Always balance is important, but we love professional wrestling, and it does take us away from those problems. So to see all this wrestling out there, all this good wrestling, all the potential wrestling, just support it. Support your local wrestling fed. Support Impact Wrestling. Support NWA if that's your vibe. Support all of it. If it's your vibe, just support it and get in those trenches with us. It's like I always say, hop on this bandwagon, hop on this wrestling bandwagon, and let's have some fun. And I think that's what we did in this episode of In Your House. I was very happy to give you guys the Tuesday episode. It was getting dicey, y'all, for real. I had an update that I had to do on my computer, and it was like, man, it was taking forever. I'm like, come on, I got other stuff I need to be doing. I got to get this podcast done. But I was able to do it and able to give you guys that work, and I really appreciate y'all coming in and tapping in with me for this Tuesday episode. We will be back on Facebook Live and YouTube Live on Wednesday night. The podcast edition will be back Thursday, and then Hypocrisy Jones is going to give you Friday Night Hype on Friday. In Your House presents Friday Night Hype, Friday night on Facebook Live. We're giving you guys that work. We are giving you guys that work. We are hitting it as hard as we possibly can between myself, between Hypocrisy Jones, between Jushin, between real life, everything that we have to deal with. We are trying to give you guys that work in this professional wrestling business. Give back to this business that has given us so much in only the way we know how, and that is give you guys our live opinions, give you guys that work, interview some great talent. Aha! And that's the last thing I want to speak on before we ride off into the sunset, is that we get a chance to interview great talent here. And we got some great talent that's going to be coming to our Wednesday night Facebook Live episode, our Thursday morning episode on the podcast, on Spotify and on Apple. And that is a young man that I've had a chance to watch grow for a very long time, since the beginning of his career. And now this young man is starting to skyrocket as he's coming down. He's the Midwest Express champion over there at Destination 6, and that is a young Vibe himself, and he is loud and proud. And that's Logan Myers. Logan Myers will make his In Your House debut on the Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and Thursday morning podcast episode. And Jack, it's gonna be a movie. Guys, I'll let you know where you can follow me at. And that is at Hollywood House on Facebook, on Twitter. That's The Hollywood House on IG. Also, you can follow this podcast at In Your House on all those social media networks, up on Twitter, up on the Twitter machine, then on IG, then on Facebook, and that's In Your House, and that is HOW S-E. And the W stands for work. So guys, thank you so much for coming in and vibing with me on this episode of In Your House. You can check us out on Spotify. You can check us out on Spreaker. Check us out on iHeartRadio. Check us out on Apple. Wherever you get your podcast, we are there to give you that work. And guys, just get on this bandwagon. Get on or get gone. Because the household, we still going mighty strong. You guys have a great day and a great rest of your week.